Hey, and a wonderful Wednesday to you. Thank you for tuning in. If you're just now checking us out, this is Tonight on WURD. I'm your host, Donovan West, and I'm hoping that you've had a wonderful Wednesday, and I'm really happy that you're able to join us this evening. We have a great show in store for you this evening, so I hope that you stay tuned in. Tonight we're going to be talking about, building and buying back the block, okay? How to rebuild, how to be more resilient as we move forward through this COVID crisis. This unprecedented pandemic of global proportions has impacted our economic community in ways that have never been experienced ever. I mean, ever. And so what are we as a group supposed to do? What are you as an individual supposed to do? These are some of the things we're going to talk about, but also we have some great guests that are going to share with us their testimony, right? Their testimony of resilience, their testimony of struggles and also challenges and also tribulations. And so we're looking forward to having them, very shortly join us. But, as for myself, I'm happy to be here, right? Every day that I wake up, I thank God for the opportunity to do more and to be on that schedule, if you will. We can never, propose that we're going to be here tomorrow, but every day that I get up, I'm very grateful, and I hope you are as well. So, and especially nowadays, right? When we think about everything that's around us, more and more we see just how fragile our society is. But, if there's anything that we also have learned, we've seen the power of resilience. We've seen the power of what it looks like when we believe, when we have faith in our craft and in a higher being and things of that nature. So I'm very happy to be counted amongst those that are still moving forward, and I hope you are as well. And to dovetail into our topic, right? In terms of being that part of that solution, the solution that is going to help buy back the block or rebuild our businesses. As you've heard already in the news in prior weeks, it's been estimated that 41% of businesses, black-owned businesses, minority businesses, right, are going to be destroyed, totally destroyed, as a result of COVID-19. The economic impact, you hear it, you see it, you experience it daily. And so what are we doing about that? Well, more importantly, what are you doing about it? We want to ask you, the listening audience, what are some of the things that you're doing to support that? But we also have some guests that are going to talk about their journey, their walk, so to speak, as it relates to rebuilding and also that spirit of resilience that must exist as part of the recipe, if you will, for success. This business week, I call every week a business week, to be perfectly honest. I don't know about this thing people talk about called vacation. I heard about it. I started to Google it the other day, but I haven't had the opportunity to learn more about it so that perhaps I could, embark on such a journey that seems to be a little bit more restful. But this work week has been no different than other weeks where, we're faced with different challenges. For myself, it's about, okay, now that we're about to go into the last quarter of this year, what are we going to do differently? How are we going to end this end this year on a high note? So many of us are talking about how we want a do-over for 2020. And I totally agree with all of you and your sentiments in regards to how this year has been. However, at the end of the day, we still have, again, if we're graced with the time, we still have the opportunity to turn it up, right, and to change the trajectory that many are experiencing. So what does that mean? It means in many ways, we have to break down the different challenges that we may have as business owners in terms of, the initial structure that we were working in, and how do we now dismantle it in a way, if it hasn't already been blown up, so that we can use it as the proper type of scaffolding, if you will, the right kind of foundation for making your business more resilient. What comes into play when I think about that often is taking inventory of my network, of not just the people that I know that are friends or family, but also the organizations, the affiliations, and really taking their temperature to find out where are they at, what are they doing, right? So there's a higher level, I believe, right now of old school communication, right, that's taking place. Like in any crisis where you have a serious breakdown, typically, you may need to just take a step back. And for many of us, it may mean, getting away from the text, right, and on to just maybe an actual old school, phone call. Actually, pressing flesh, as they say back in the day, which was really, a way of expressing getting in front of someone. Right now, obviously, we don't want to do that in this COVID-19 space, but the sentiments are still the same in terms of restoring that fingerprint to the interaction, right? Restoring that unique interaction when you are, when you're communicating with either a business, a business partner, a potential, partner or collaborator on a project, potential customers, or existing past customers, right? It's about making sure that you reconnect and identify with them in a way that that is uniquely you. So one of the people that I'm going to have join us very shortly is Sarah Scandone. She actually is the one of the owners of Nourish Philadelphia. And Nourish Philadelphia is a vegan cafe in South Philadelphia. You may have seen it in the news recently. This place was destroyed, unfortunately, due to a fire. And they've been, picking up the pieces, literally. And so we want to talk to Sarah and get her on the phone very shortly and have her talk to us about, where she was prior to COVID-19, what she's going through now, and then, of course, the most recent situation. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Sarah. Sarah, how you doing this evening? Hey, Sarah, can you hear us? Sarah, I think you're muted. Can you hear us? Okay, Sarah, we just need you to unmute yourself if you could, because we have Sarah also piped in through our Zoom. We're not hearing her. Perhaps she can try us through the phone line at 215-634-8065. We're looking forward to talking to Sarah Scandone of Nourish Philadelphia. She is one of the owners of the vegan cafe located there on South Street that unfortunately was destroyed due to fire just recently. I believe it was actually several days ago. Sarah will be joining us very momentarily. Of course, as you know, in the industry of all industries for Philadelphia, it's the food industry. The food industry has been impacted higher than any industry as it relates to COVID-19. As you would imagine, not having the ability to open your doors, indoor dining, being maximized, as you've heard just most recently, at 25% of capacity. And that's actually, set to be available right now as opposed to what's actually been available throughout the year. If you didn't have the space in terms of the real estate space, outside of your establishment to set up, some sidewalk cafe, then you were just out of luck. Or if you did not have the ability to do pickup, right, or takeout to some extent, you were out of luck. And so the industry, the food industry, has been impacted very heavily. But we want to talk to Sarah to talk about not just that aspect of it, but the most recent events. Sarah, let's see if we can get you back on the line. How are you doing this evening? Still having some technical difficulties, but we're going to have her on. I promise you all, we're going to have.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Amen.
There we go.
All right.
So I didn't hear everything that you said, actually, preceding coming up and maybe asking questions. So
Nah, it's okay. It's all right. I wanted to make sure I heard your voice right back before I get into any questions. But, we were just talking about, how different industries have been impacted as a result of COVID-19. Obviously, the food industry, the restaurant businesses in Philadelphia have been hit very hard, as you would imagine, in the sixth largest city in the country, right? Hospitality and food reign at the top of our industries that drive this economy. And so I wanted to hear from you as a business owner. How did COVID-19 impact you?
I'm not sure if everybody's familiar, but I actually opened January 20th. So this was right before this all happened. So my business started up and it started, growing and getting really popular and well known. And then this happened. So we had to downsize, minimize. People weren't coming inside. We had to, go outside the window, that kind of thing. And it definitely slowed us down, but I think in a time like this, people realize this was a health food store. We provide natural products. We provide herbal supplements, natural foods, things like that are going to help people, fight disease, fight illness, boost their immune systems. So I find that a lot of people were seeking that at this time. So, thankfully that, they look to us for a lot of those things for sure. And we're able to get a lot of stuff to really carry them through that time, or help them ease the pressure of going through that and worrying so much about being sick. So that was a positive thing. When they started to lift the restrictions, they really, I really saw how much busier it got. So I definitely realized like the potential, it was definitely slowing it down a lot for us.
Now let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about that first quarter, right? There it is. It's January. Congratulations, you're getting your business off the ground. And, it's 2 months later, right? March 17th, I believe, to be more specific. The mayor says, we're shutting everything down. What was your initial response during that time? When you get this news, okay, you're literally 2 months into the game, and you hear this message from our mayor to shut it all down. You're not in essential business at that point. And you've already had your model set up a certain kind of way, which I'm pretty sure involves seeing people. So what was your initial response when you were faced with this situation?
Just how we were going to get through it, and still be there for our customers to be able to, get the, healthy, nourishing food. I was concerned at first to see if they were really going to shut everything where we were not considered an essential business. Initially, we still were, because restaurants and places were still considered essential. So we were able to, but we couldn't, like I said, we had to serve out the window. There was very minimal staff in there. We were not able to, have many people, in our area in the cafe. So it was very minimal. And that was another difficult thing. I mean, I hired and had a lot of people come on as subcontractors, people that were starting to really build their baking companies or juice companies, different things like that to support our growing needs as well. So I had to, really downsize with that. And I was concerned about that. I mean, I'm really concerned about people knowing that they have, their livelihood in a business, like this, where they can feel great about working at, and then, having to let, a lot of people down with that as well too.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so later in March, I think late March, 45 put something into place, right? The CARE Act, he signs off on it. And then the first round goes out early April, and it's going out to a ton of businesses. However, it's not going out to businesses that are actually small businesses. Were you impacted by that in any way? Did you feel strong based off of the relationships that you had with the community in terms of, the type of niche that you had in the marketplace? Were you amongst the majority of businesses in that space that were starting to hemorrhage a little bit from lack of the normal cash flow?
Yeah, I mean, we just downsized a little bit. I do own another business, so I tried to just, pick up where I could in that, but it definitely minimized so much. And then, the cash flow with having, people being able to be on staff with us was definitely a concern, which then impacts the community, because then, people aren't working in our community, and the people that we, bring in, then they're not able to, provide for their families and all that. And that's definitely more of an impact. We are not, because we were just a business that just opened, we don't have the ability to ask for any kind of support, because we didn't have documents as a prior, from the prior year.
Yeah.
So we couldn't even request or even apply really for, to really apply for any of the funding, because we were just a brand new business and they want to see all sorts of documents and a variety of things like that. So we just, realized we're just starting up, and we know in the beginning there's always going to be ups and downs with it as well. That's definitely not something we expected to happen. So we just really tried to press through as much as possible.
Makes a lot of sense. Now, you talk about also your relationships with other subcontractors, vendors that represent some of the products that you had in your store. And how there was a ripple effect. Was there any additional communication or plans to keep them engaged, or was there any other types of strategies that you were, that you wanted to execute during this time to just make sure everyone was staying afloat, or was it kind of, whoever could weather the storm, they stuck around, and others that fell off, perhaps, you'll catch them later? What was going on during that time in terms of relationships with other vendors that usually supplied your business?
Yeah, I mean, they, as many people could, they definitely stayed on as well. I mean, packaging products, and, they have their things separate. So they would just come and drop off if we were able to pick up their things, at different locations whenever they would drop it off, it would just be me in the store. They would come in. So, it slowed down a little bit, but, like I said, it was really, amazing that our community really, stayed looking for healthy products. That's one thing I really, promoted and work with people on, to say, like, it's really important what you eat when you're trying to be cautious about, an illness that's going to affect your health, and something like a flu, really caring for your body is really important. So we still had people coming in, calling in, definitely trying to order food as well, and order a lot of products. And that's where some of the products came in. We had elderberry, from a local herbalist. We have cleanses and detoxes, detox teas, different things like that, that people were really looking for. So they were happy that we had them. So it really kept them going as well, too.
That sounds great. No, that sounds great.
Yeah, really
it sounds like you're leading.
To support other people, for sure.
Well, you're leading right into my next question, which is, many of us, right, are sitting here saying to ourselves, okay, what other adjustments do we need to make in terms of our diet, right, our normal way of life, but the products that we purchase, the foods that we eat, that may put us in a stronger position to fight off these types of viruses that are out there. Now, we know you're not a doctor. We're not asking you to turn into Miss Fauci out here, but what we want to do is we want to hear from you in terms of what are some suggestions you have around things that we may want to add to our shopping cart going forward into the season, especially flu season.
Right. It's getting to be cold and winter again, and the change of everything. I mean, we definitely are affected by that. I think immune boosting herbs are definitely important. Things like elderberry, basic foods, like we don't even have to go into medicine that much. I mean, unless we want to look at food as medicine. So we just eat basic foods, eat a lot of greens, eat a lot of things that help your body flush out mucus, basic fruits and vegetables, very important for us. They should be in our diets all the time. Things like sea moss. I'm a huge advocate for sea moss. If you haven't heard of that, it's very popular in the Caribbean, but now it's become very well known here in America and around the world as well. So it's definitely something that helps remove mucus from the body. It helps build your immune system. It helps fight any kind of infection, build your alkaline, and bring your body to a higher alkaline level. So when you do that, you can fight off disease a lot easier, and then when their mucus is removed, then we're not as concerned about, getting the mucus in our chest and not being able to breathe and these different things. So for sure, I'd say elderberry is really important. Sea moss is very important. A lot of mineral building herbs, burdock, dandelion, and healthy fresh fruits and vegetables, and non-mucus forming foods. Like, you don't want to be eating a lot of mucus forming foods at this time, a lot of breads and
dairy,
pastas, processed foods. That's really important to cut out sugars. That lowers our immune system. So if we're eating all those things all the time, our body's working harder to, really fight off infection.
Okay, you guys heard it here. You want to make sure that you're eating right so that you can be able to weather the storm, so to speak, the storm of viruses during this very tough time that we're all experiencing. And also, speaking of disease, there's another disease that you were exposed to recently, right? That's it's really impacting our country, right? And that's fire, unfortunately. That disease is largely on the West Coast right now, and our thoughts and prayers go out there to those that are currently experiencing that. But also more locally, you've experienced this, and if you could tell us a little bit about what's going on with the business as a result of that. I know it's less than a week since it's taken place, but if you could share with the audience what's going on.
So yes, I didn't think after watching it on the news, I definitely didn't think it was going to reach right to me. I was quite surprised. It is, we had just a devastating fire on Saturday night. It was an accident. I was not there. I came, very quickly. And at this point, we're just trying to figure out where we can find a new location, because it was a total loss. The entire space is gone. The restaurant, everything in it is completely gone. So a lot of those things I was talking about, actually, some of the herbs that I import from Jamaica, a lot of the sea moss I have, those things. I mean, we're just working on rebuilding and really trying to get back a lot of that stuff, but also finding a new location right away until, if possible, the landlord will let me go back into that building. I love the location. I put, our heart and soul into that location. We really enjoyed it. I think it was, a perfect spot for us. But at this point, that could take several months to rebuild if, once he goes through that whole process. So I'm looking to find another space to be able to provide our customers their good, delicious food, and my, coworkers a space where, they can, come back for their livelihood, for sure.
All right. Well, Sarah, you know what we're going to do is we're going to stay in touch with you. And for those who don't know you, right, how can they stay in touch with you?
You can follow us on Instagram or on Facebook at Nourish Philly. I mean, there's emails, nourishphilly@gmail.com. That's pretty much it. You know, you can reach out on social media and any of those platforms. And, you know, we definitely have, you know, a growing following with that. It's been really great. So hopefully people can follow to find out where we're going to be reopening. Hopefully it won't be far from that location. So people will still be able to find us that have been looking for us in that area as well. And hopefully eventually we will relocate there too. But for now, you know, look for us in another area. So stay tuned, follow us on there, see what else we can do. If it's either a cloud kitchen or, you know, something that we can, you know, a commissary kitchen where we can, you know, do until we find a permanent location for a little while. We'd love for you to follow us.
That sounds great. And Sarah, thank you so much. We're looking forward to enjoying your delicious and healthy food in the very near future. And also, I'm looking forward to catching up with you so I can get some more elderberry as well as sea moss. You know, that's definitely necessary for our everyday living. So thanks again, and we're going to be in touch with you very soon and make sure that we support and are part of your restoration. All right?
So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So if you're just now checking us out, you're listening to Tonight on WURD 900 AM 96.1 FM. If you would like to call in, you can feel free to make sure that you call in at 215-634-8065. I'm your host, Donovan West. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more about what you should be doing during this catastrophe of a situation we're experiencing called COVID-19. Be right back.
Justice, equality, accountability. These are the values we need in our leaders to bring us together and be the America we know we can be. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are those leaders. Joe Biden has the experience to fix our broken economy. He's done it before and he'll do it again. And our own Kamala Harris is ready to lead. As senator, she championed education, health care, and criminal justice reform. And with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in charge, we know the White House will be accountable to our community. For 4 years, our country has been run by inexperience and corruption, but we have the chance to turn it around with values rooted in our common goals and the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Unite the Country. www.blackpac.com and www.unitethecountry.com, which are responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Livelihood, the new initiative from Word Radio, connecting Philadelphians to jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. Listen live at wordradio.com. Keystone First VIP Choice HMO SNP Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan has a 4 out of 5 star rating and is one of the highest rated Medicare plans in the region. Keystone First VIP Choice and you are better together. If you live in Philadelphia, Bucks, Chester, Montgomery, or Delaware County, and you have both Medicare and Medicaid, choose the Medicare plan that is working to help you get better care. Enjoy extra benefits at no cost to you with Keystone First VIP Choice. You get benefits like dental, vision, and transportation to and from your medical appointments. They also cover a fitness membership to a gym of your choice. $150 toward over-the-counter pharmacy items. There's no copay for doctor's visits. They offer a large provider network, a great prescription plan, dental coverage, and even eyeglasses. Plus, you don't have to wait for open enrollment. You can change your coverage every quarter. Keystone First VIP Choice. The name you trust, the service you deserve. Call Keystone First VIP Choice today at 1-877-686-1760 or visit KeystoneFirstVIPChoice.com. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
All right. Thank you again for joining us on Tonight onWURD. That's right. And I'm Donovan West, and we're here talking about, building up businesses again, buying back the block, making sure that we come back even stronger and more resilient during this COVID-19 crisis. And so keeping in that same, stream of thought, if you will, about building up and getting stronger and being more resilient, I want to bring on our next guest, Justin Taylor and Troy Hayward. They are the owners of Push Universal Training Studio. And I would like to, just send a warm welcome to these guys because, man, do they have a story. And I'm looking forward to sharing it with our listening audience. How are you guys doing this evening?
Yo, what's up, Donovan? How we doing? Can you guys hear us?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you nice and clear. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. So I see you joining us from the health studio, the training studio that you have there, right? I can see the visuals. Okay, yep. That's great. So, let's jump right into it. Listen, COVID-19 has hit many of us on our backs. And, when we talk about different industries, we just wrapped up with, Sarah, who represents, the food industry, the restaurant industry, right? And, there's another industry that's been impacted, right? A lot of health studios and training studios and gyms overall have been impacted. So when COVID-19, came to settle here in Philadelphia, what was the initial impact to you and your business when you found out early March, mid-March, that businesses were shutting down? What was your experience?
It was pretty rough for us. I mean, we had to shut down everything abruptly, and we weren't prepared for that. So being as though our overhead is thousands and thousands, we're in Northern Liberty, so our rent, right now we don't own the building, so the rent is crazy. Still have utilities, you still have subscriptions that you have for your business to make everything run. So thousands and thousands of dollars that just shut off immediately. Yep. Nothing came in. We asked some of the clients that if they could keep paying, because some people were still working. So some clients still sent us a little bit of money so that we could pay something, but we were basically behind in rent 3-4 months. Troy helped apply for plenty of loans. You could tell me about that.
I mean, it was just basically, like you said, we had to shut everything down, and lucky for us, we had those few clients that were still supporting and still paying their payments, even though they weren't able to come in and train. So what we were hoping was things would be shut down for maybe a couple months and we would be able to bounce right back. But when we realized that this was going to be an ongoing process and we had to start, applying for all types of loans, applying for the PAU. Luckily, we did get one small loan, and that helped us pay some of the back rent and some of the utilities. Then we got our PUA, which that helped us, pay some more of the back utilities and some more of our own personal stuff. So it's been a whole process to where it's just like, just wading the water, trying to keep our head above water at this point.
Yeah, so we tried to apply for several loans. We got denied for 90% of them. All those that people are getting, all that money. I heard some people were getting $150,000, We barely got maybe $12K, maybe.
$20,000 would have helped us out.
That barely helps us with rent for 2 months. So we were really behind. And even at this point now, them just allowing us to come back in the past month or so, we are still behind. So our landlord is constantly on us about paying. There's no leeway for business. You have to keep everything going.
Yeah. And then mind you, we're not even able to run at, full capacity. We're only allowed to run at half capacity. And then we got to account for the people that are still, not really wanting to come in because of COVID and everything. So
yeah, there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah, we're swimming upriver.
It's horrible. Gym spa life is horrible.
I hear you guys, but and this is, again, I know if you guys are just listening, those who are just listening, we are talking with Push Universal Training Studio. I know you're not used to hearing trainers talk like this because they're usually so uplifting, but they're just sharing with you their testimony in terms of, as business owners, what the experience has been since COVID-19. Now, with a membership business that you have, right? And of course, being in the height of your season, I would expect that, coming right out of, the new year, right? People are getting their bodies ready for summertime, right? That summertime body, right? and your memberships are looking pretty good, business is looking good, and then bam, you're halted. What were some of the things you were doing in terms of, managing the expectations or the relationships of your actual customers? What were some of the things that you were doing during that same time that, you're experiencing X, Y, and Z behind the scenes, right? Obviously, they're mandated not to come to you, but what are you doing to nurture that relationship, to maintain that relationship?
The only thing we could do, we just offered some free online training through Zoom, and we just kind of maintained through that way for as long as we could. Up until we did that for what, 2-3 months, and then
2 months, and
and then that was like far out of our realm because we're more hands-on. We need to be able to correct your form. We need to be able to see exactly what's going on. We can't create as many workouts as we normally do. We can't be as creative as we want to be because they don't have equipment or they don't have the amount of space that everybody has, or they don't have the right type of couch, or they live in an apartment, or they don't have stairs. It was all kinds of obstacles that we had to try and overcome in order to create what we did create. But that was only able to last for a little while until it kind of fizzled out.
Then we ran another. I know you're familiar with our weight loss challenge. We ran another. We actually had a challenge that was scheduled for, I believe it was April. And then once COVID happened, of course, we pushed it back to May. And then May, COVID was still here. We pushed it back to June. And we started it in June, even though everybody was kind of not ready. But that was something that helped us keep in touch with people who weren't even here, So we had the online challenge going with 100 people or so in it. I send out meal plans, brand new meal plans to all our clients.
No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I mean, at this point, while working out, right? While working out may not necessarily be the ideal situation in terms of, I'm not at push use training studio, but all I have is my living room, my dining room, my steps, or whatever. I'm assuming that that additional guidance when it comes to what to eat also has to play a key role in. And I'm also thinking that you probably have a heightened sense of a desire to be healthy, right? And despite the fact that people are not walking into your gym, people are probably still looking at you, right? Some of your clients are still looking at you to say, hey, what else can we do so that we can fight this other enemy, right? Called the COVID body, right?
Right, yeah. Right. I mean, at that point, it was just everybody, we just, tried to have mercy on everybody. It was just, try and eat as healthy as you can, but we know that sitting in the house all day, you're going to snack.
You might gain
no doubt about it. You're going to gain some COVID weight, but just come on back and you're going to get it right back off.
Give us some examples of some healthier snacks that we need to do, since we, there's talk of a round 2 of a COVID shutdown, potentially. Not exactly sure how accurate that is, but in the event, should we find ourselves in a similar situation that we were in March, what are some of the things we should add to our cart? I asked Sarah the same thing. She mentioned some great things we should add to the cart. What are some things you believe we should add to that shopping cart to keep us at least in decent condition? I'm not going to say we're going to be, we're not going to look like action adventure models like you guys, but perhaps just keep us looking half decent.
I would say definitely stay away from a lot of processed foods, a lot of juices and sodas. At home, we constantly go to the fridge. So to constantly go to the fridge and open it up and there's always junk, you're setting yourself up. So I would say make sure you stick to organic juices, 100% juice. I would say more water. Make sure you always keep water on you. Gallons of spring water or distilled water or alkaline water. I would definitely say breads. You need to watch how much you're consuming bread on a daily basis, because not only is that bad for your mucus, it's also bad for your stomach. It's bad for your gut. It's bad for a lot of different reasons. So you want to watch how much you're consuming. So maybe 1 slice a day, or maybe, kind of space that out, get more into greens and vegetables, salads. Another thing is, when we shut down, we have to be more self-sufficient. So we have to learn how to grow.
Yeah.
Okay, talk a little bit more about that.
We should start farming at this point.
Grow your kale, grow your spinach, shut down again, grow your tomatoes. You know what I mean? So me and Troy are actually getting into that now. That's our next step with Push You, is farming. And actually providing vegetables for our clients.
Okay. So Push You is going to be You heard that Push You is going to be pushing V for vegetables very soon, coming to a store near you. I like that, man.
The farming trainers. Yep.
We appreciate that. So, in terms of rebuilding the business, rebuilding the brand, what are some of the things you've done in the more recent, let's say the last month or so, to help reestablish yourself in the marketplace?
Just running different promotions, different discounts. Like I just did a pay what you weigh discount or promotion to where I ran it for about a week. You can pay me whatever you weigh. If you come in for
no thanks. No,
you come in and you weigh.
Nah, that works for some people. Yeah, nah, I'm pay what I weigh. I'm coming in looking like I'm paying mortgage. No, we're not going to do that.
I'm also running a special right now. It's on for until Friday. You can come in 30 days unlimited sessions for $200. That's usually a pretty popular one that I drop at least once or twice a year.
Okay.
And just trying to keep the marketing going, just keeping it staying fresh as always.
Thing about training and gym and stuff is just as long as you keep posting and engaging your audience, you'll be okay. Many people were hitting this up like, we're ready to come back, but we couldn't open yet. So the money was there, it's just we weren't able to open it. But now everybody not everybody, I would say we're about half of our client load of what we're used to, but it's enough to start climbing back out of that. So we're slowly.
Listen, I'm pulling for you guys. And I have a quick question. As we are changing seasons, right? A lot of restaurants that had the ability were fortunate enough to do dining outside, which, helped with their capacity. Obviously, as it gets colder, you're not going to be able to do as much outside. I'm pretty sure at Push You, you're outside using, the great, taking full advantage of this great weather and doing some exercises outside. As it gets colder, what are some thoughts that you have around how to still keep the client flow at a level where you're going to still be able to be sustainable? Any thoughts about that?
Woo!
Good question,
That's
right?
a good one. That's a good one. That's a good business question. Yearly, there's always things that happen. Yeah. So as trainers and gym owners, you always run into, Christmas and holidays are coming up. So you're going to have a major fall off of clients. So we have that naturally throughout each season. So we just check and adjust each time. Keep posting promotions, keep sending out emails, engaging our audience, our clientele.
We got to come up with some sort of new challenge that
new challenges, right?
So we got to work on that still.
All right, I'm gonna join you guys for the next challenge. Okay, you heard me. I got all our listeners. All our listeners, you can hold me to it. I'm gonna join the next challenge. And in the meantime, though, I would like you guys to tell us, how can we stay in touch?
You just go to pushyouphilly.com. Our website has everything on there. You can also go to @pushyouphilly on Instagram. You can call us directly. You can call myself at 215-869-9839, or you can call Justin at
267-648-5455. We'll respond via text or call, however you want to hit us up.
Whatever you want to do.
And we look forward to speaking to some of you guys.
Hey, that's great. Thank you so much for being a part of the program today. If you're just now checking us out, this is Tonight on Word. I'm your host, Donovan West, and we're talking about how to rebuild your business, how to rebuild the block, how to be more resilient. If you want to call in, please feel free to call in at 215-634-8065. That number again is 215-634-8065. We're going to be right back in just a couple of seconds, and we have more in store for you.
Donald Trump knew how deadly COVID was months ago, and he lied about it. Just listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people, to plenty of young people.
Donald Trump knew as early as February just how deadly COVID was, before anyone even died, and he did nothing about it. His indifference cost tens of thousands of black lives.
It goes through air, Bob. You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus.
Nearly 200,000 dead. 1 in 5 are black. This virus is literally killing us, and Trump did nothing to stop it.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you, I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
Too late, Mr. President.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Support independent black media and join the 4Word movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Hello, my name is Esteban Vera. I'm a proud union member and business manager of Labor's Local 57 in Philadelphia. I'd first like to thank every essential worker, union member that's working in the front lines day in and day out to keep us all Americans safe. Thank you so much. Now more than ever, it's so important that we get out to vote and make sure that we're registered to vote, that we get candidates in office that care about all Americans, not just corporations. We cannot let the last 4 years repeat itself. Our country cannot take no more. Our people cannot take no more. I beg everyone and plead to please get out to register to vote. Our lives, our children's lives, and our economy depends on it.
Don't forget to tune into Labor's Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. on onWURD, WURD.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at 4Word. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
All right. If you're just now tuning in, this is Tonight on Word. I'm your host, Donovan West, and you're listening to 96.1 FM or 900 AM. So tonight's topic is rebuilding the block, rebuilding your business. How do we do this? How do we become more resilient, stronger as we work through this whole, global pandemic called COVID-19, right? So our next guest is the co-founder of Rebuild the Block Corp. And we would like to just bring on board Alexis Acarolo. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. So the topic of this evening, and we could not talk about this without inviting you this evening, right? Because, you're doing some big things, and we want to make sure that our listening audience is very much aware of what you're up to and get some more context for how you were able to create this amazing, not company, I would say movement. Is that more accurate?
I definitely tell people all the time, this is a movement, a collective movement, not a moment. So it's definitely a movement or an organization, for sure.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And I'm really, really proud of you for another reason. And I'm just going to leave it at #WeAre, and just going to leave it right there. Just going to let that sit. For those of you who know out there,
For those that know,
yeah.
#we definitely are.
All right. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about, how you came to this, to creating this movement. What was the context for it? What were some of the thoughts, the vision? If you could share that with our listening audience.
I mean, if I can be completely transparent, it definitely came after the unrest of George Floyd and the looting and destruction. COVID was obviously a high factor. It was divine intervention for me because I came up with the idea probably about midday on May 31st. Okay. And I was talking about it and I'm like, I think this is something we could do. And I keep telling people we could do it. And then, but nobody was, that's how most conversations are going these days, where it's like you have this hypeness of, I want to be a part of something, but then it kind of falls a little bit flat. Yeah. But then I went home that night and I felt like my ancestors was just screaming at me. Like it was so hard for me to diet down. I literally just had to pull out my computer and just start typing. So I created a GoFundMe initially, and within like 5 minutes, I called my co-founder Z and I said, listen, I just made a GoFundMe for these small businesses. I need your help. I want you on board. Let's do this. I mean, within 2 days, we had raised like $100,000.
Wow.
And yeah, from
That's
there,
amazing.
it just kept growing and growing. We made the nonprofit and it's been history.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. So it sounded like you had a great idea, right? An epiphany. You know what? I'm gonna jump in here, right? I'm gonna get in the game, and you fought off what I would say the people that live in this other part of town is called I'm Just Sayingville, right? And I'm Just Sayingville, you're full of that feeling and emotion, but after that it kind of fades. And for you said, I'm going to do better than that, and you were restless, and as a result of that, here we are, right? You are now, leading a movement, providing necessary access and also inspiration to many by way of creating this company, this organization, this nonprofit. So if you can you tell us some more about the nonprofit that you created and what's its goals and objectives?
Of course. So Rebuild the Block is an organization that focuses on redistributing wealth, knowledge, and resources back into the Black community. So we really focus on being a hub for people to be able to find information about any type of industry, mental health, anything that we feel are issue points within our community. We want to be able to provide resources for you to find it, because there are people out here that are working, jobs. They have their own businesses that focus specifically on it. So we want to be able to show you how to get there. And then just to be able to promote each other. There's a lot of Black-owned businesses out there, and we want to be able to just be that service.
I like it. I like it a lot. And so it sounds like you're a resource map of sorts, right? You're a connector, and also you provide some highlights on some of the businesses that are out here that are not getting, all the light that they actually deserve. So that's a good thing. Yep. In terms of, as you amass this amount of money, you're sitting here, you're saying, okay, great. We're going to carve out now our niche in this marketplace in terms of being relevant, being a resource. What are some of the things that you're experiencing as you're interacting with some of the businesses that you're serving right now as we speak?
So we've been able to, and I want to say we've been blessed to be able to give businesses that were affected by COVID-19, looting and destruction, or altogether just a startup business, we've been able to provide them with some funding. So that has been a blessing in itself, just being able to connect with these different businesses across the nation, and been able to just help them. Some businesses we've helped with rent, some businesses we've helped just to like get the insurance still going for their business, just anywhere that we feel we can be of service. We've tried to put our foot in. It's actually so interesting. I was listening to this station earlier where I heard that you had the owner of Nourish on. I actually have reached out to her because I wanted to see if we could help her because of that unfortunate fire.
That's great.
So hopefully I'll be able to connect with her soon.
But not hopefully. I'll make it happen. I'll make it happen.
Please,
don't worry about that.
Please.
Done.
I had reached out on social media. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure I got that in there. But
no problem.
Yeah, we've been able to touch so many businesses. Each month we give out up to, I believe, $15,000 to up to 15 businesses. It all varies depending on how many people apply, but it's just been a grateful experience.
Well, that's good. Could you share with our audience some of the things that you're looking for in terms of requirements so that they can be able to apply?
So we're looking for Black-owned businesses. We're looking for businesses that have started before January, on or before January 2020. And then we also currently have a Startup September initiative going on right now, where if you started between April 15th of last year to April 15th of this year, you can also qualify for some funding. And then you just have to have the proper bank statements and so on to show that your business is a registered business. And really, that's it.
That's great. That's
to
great.
Apply, yep.
No, this is amazing. So how can people get in touch with you?
You can always find all of the information that you need on rebuildtheblock.org. You can also follow us on Instagram, on Rebuild the Block Corp, or on Twitter at RTB Corp. All of our information on any of our upcoming themes, any of our just events that we have, period, that we want going on, you can reach out there.
That's great. That's great. Any last words of advice for micro enterprise, small business owners out there?
My advice is to always keep churning, always keep going. I know that it can be very difficult at times, and I know that as a small business, you can sometimes just feel every time the wind blows. But the more you keep pushing, you're inspiring others to do it. Keep faith.
All right, you guys heard it here, right? So thank you so much. We really appreciate you, Alexis, for all the information you provided. We look forward to having you back on the show so that we can stay in touch with what you're doing, what you're up to, and the next step in your journey in this mission, if you will, this goal that you have to upright more businesses. We applaud you. So thank you so much.
I appreciate you so much for having us on.
No problem. So if you're just now checking us out, you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Tonight on onWURD. I'm your host, Donovan West, and we're talking to a number of different business owners as well as business supporters when it comes to this whole mission of rebuilding our business community, right? Making it more resilient, becoming stronger, working together to work through this crisis, this pandemic of global proportions. Of course, we hear so much about all of the death and destruction, but we don't hear enough about resilience. We don't hear enough about restoration, the renovation, right, of many businesses, whether you're talking about a storefront or literally of our own sense of hope and sense of purpose during this whole process. So again, what I'm here to do is to make sure that we talk to a nice cross-section of people, of business owners, organizations, of course, that are in the middle of it and also at the end of it in terms of, levels of success, and also having some level of transparency while they share with you what they're personally going through. Because at the end of the day, before we're business owners, we're humans. So if you're just now checking us out, please feel free to call in and share some more perspective on what you're going through as a business owner. You can call in at 215-634-8065. We just had Alexis Acarolo from Rebuild the Block share some information about how you can get access for your business if you're going through some tough times. As you heard, they are providing some grants to businesses, up to 15 businesses per month at a level of up to $15,000 per business. So please make sure that you follow them through the information that they provided. We'll also make sure that that information is on the site. In addition to that, we want to thank Push Universal Training for coming out and touching base with us, as well as Sarah Scardone from Nourish Philadelphia. We're going to take a quick break in about a couple of seconds, but please feel free to call in and let us know your thoughts. Let us know your perspective. Feel free to give a testimony, if you will, by calling in at 215-634-8065. You're listening to Tonight on Word.
Hi, this is Councilmember Mark Squilla. We need every Philadelphian to be counted in the 2020 census to get the funding we need to recover from the challenges of COVID-19. The census brings funding to Philly for education, healthcare, food support, public safety, and more. For every person who isn't counted, Philly loses $21,000 in funds over the next decade. We can't let that happen. You have until September 30th to get counted. Go to 2020census.gov or call 1-844-330-2020. Don't delay, Philly. Get counted now. Thank you.
Hey, Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
Recovery starts with a call. Pennsylvania's Substance Use Disorder Hotline is staffed by real people who are trained to help. They're here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They'll get you or your loved one into treatment regardless of your access to insurance. If you or someone you know is suffering from addiction, call 1-800-662-HELP. Recovery starts with a call.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars. I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
about the people. About the people. About the people.
Okay, you're just now tuning in. If you are just now checking us out, you're listening to Tonight on Word. I'm your host, Donovan West, and we're talking about rebuilding the block, making our businesses more resilient, identifying ways to come out from where we may be, right? Some of us may be under the rubble from COVID-19. Some of us may be ahead, but what we're looking at is providing you information and resources about how you may be able to shift, be able to pivot, rebuild your business, or go in a different direction if necessary, right? So I'm your host, Donovan West, and you're listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM. We are on the second hour of an impactful, show. I mean, one just with a great lineup of different businesses and organizations that are supporting black businesses, minority businesses, and we're going to continue down that path by way of having our next guest, Tyrone Hall and Rashad Price of Dynamic Mentoring Programs. So please, if you can, guys, if you can just tell us a little bit more about your program. And first of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No problem at all. So tell us a little bit more about Dynamic Mentoring Program.
Well, Dynamic Mentoring is a program that me and Hall came up with about 5 years ago. We come from a youth development background. I was working with gangs out in the Maryland area. And we were doing travel basketball. And we just wanted a way, for the guys to have some type of out besides just sports. So like once they're done with us, what else can they do? And we end up partnering with an IT company called Metropole Tech. They're also a consulting firm, and they trained us. Hall got a certification in Oracle. I got my certification in AWS Cloud, and that's how we started. Dynamic Mentoring, because we took that and we started teaching young people the same skill sets that we learned. And IT helped transfer our lives. We go from youth development to six-figure jobs in a matter of 6 to 8 months. So it just made sense. So what we do now for Dynamic Mentoring is just not for teens, it's for young adults, it's for the whole family. Like you have a family of that wants to change their lives and financially, we feel like using IT is the way to go.
Absolutely.
I like that a lot. So talk to us a little bit more about, you mentioned what you got certified in. So talk to us about how to apply that as it relates to, from an entrepreneurial standpoint or from, a career standpoint. What are some of the things that you can do as a result of that certification?
So we only teach the high fives, right? Cybersecurity, Oracle, Red Hat Linux, Oracle Cloud, and AWS, right? Those skill sets are the top skill sets on the planet, right? Besides, the programming languages, Json, Python, or more software development skill sets. It's a life-changing situation. And no matter where you go in the world with these skill sets, that you'll be able to make an immediate impact to not only your financial standpoint, but also for your family. Our programs are typically anywhere from 3 months to 8 months. And with these skill sets, you could pretty much lock in anything you want, almost like writing your own ticket.
Okay. Give us some more context when you say write your own ticket. So, the average person, the average graduate coming out of this kind of program, what are they looking at in terms of, from a family sustainable, wage or salary rather? What are we talking about? If you could give us a range, what would that look like?
Okay. Yeah, so we had I'll give you one situation. We had a young lady, she was about 19 years old. She was going to Bowie State. She entered our program through our partner, Metropole Tech, and she chose a genre called Guardian, database security. The salary range for that was $100 an hour, okay? At 19 years old, she earned a wage of over $140K. Okay, because she had to come in as a junior for that role.
Okay.
That position pays up to the 200s, right? Because you're dealing with database security, capturing data from all types of data centers all across the world. You know, healthcare systems, banking systems, right?
Gotcha.
With that type of skill set, that is the norm. With the other type of skill sets, such as the #1 certification in the world right now, is between Microsoft Azure and AWS. Those salaries, right off the back, is anywhere from 120 to 160K, easy.
Wow. Okay.
Red Hat Linux, you could come right out of the program, especially if you Red Hat certified, easily making 150, easily making 135, right?
Okay.
To about 150, which is, these salaries sound a little wild, because on the average, you know, professional, these ranges of 6 figures is hard to come by.
Well,
But,
you know, the part that sounds wild actually is not necessarily, I wouldn't say the number, right? The wage, the salary, you know, that sounds great. That sounds amazing. I think at the end of the day, when you start thinking about the amount of training and the correlation between the training and then being able to earn these types of dollars, I mean, you know, for those that are going to college, right? 2-year degrees and certifications, and then 4 years or masters, or, you know, doctorates, things of that nature. What you're saying is that, no, you can make that money inside of 8 months.
well, I'm also adding to that. Instead of having the average student pay for college, you could take this course, earn the salary that you wouldn't even make, even if you had 2 master degrees, right? And have your employer pay for whatever education that you wanted to take, versus coming out of college and you're having about anywhere from $60,000 to $100,000 in college debt. It just didn't make no sense.
Makes
So
a lot
with
of
this
sense,
skill
yeah.
set, and seeing how technology is moving from blockchain to AWS to Oracle Cloud, you know, this is something that we've been preaching about, and this vehicle has been working for us for the last 5 years.
Hey, congratulations on that. Quick question. The example that you used was a young lady that was already attending a university. It inspired this question, which is, where does a person need to be at, right, educationally speaking, for them to be able to take advantage of this type of opportunity? You know, should they be someone that's already college bound, or are you talking about someone that's a high school graduate? Where should that person be, you know, to help manage some expectations around this kind of situation and whether or not it's for them?
Well, I can speak for myself. Well, because I was working with gang-involved kids who, some of them had dropped out already, some of them was on the verge of dropping out, and some of them I was helping getting their GED. And all anyone needs is really a drive to do something different. Because even for me and Hall, we didn't know anything about IT before we started doing it. Like basic stuff, we didn't know it. And we took an advanced level course, and it's just the way that we were taught. We know how to teach you the basics and bring you up to speed faster than, you know, most people, other places do. And really, you just need a drive to do something different. That's really all it is. Because a lot of the skill set, young people already have some of it because they were born into it. If you know what I mean, with technology, using their phone and stuff like that. So the learning curve is so short for them because they already have been doing it. They just didn't know they were doing it.
Gotcha.
And even for me and Hall's generation, like we came up on MySpace. Guess what? On MySpace, we were coding. We didn't know. So when we get into these platforms, it's just putting in a language that we understand now. Okay, I was doing this already.
Gotcha. So it sounds like the approach that was taken was more of a contextualized approach, one where you could actually have more in common with, or it was a little bit more relevant and probably increased your level of information retention. Does that make sense? Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Gotcha. So when it comes to people of color, our black and brown brothers and sisters out here, how many are able to actually go through this process? Do you feel like there's a challenge there in terms of, you know, making this case for this alternative to get into those 6 figures, to getting into this space where you have family sustaining, you know, careers and you know, a lifestyle overall?
So I could speak to that. This was the whole part of me moving out of Philadelphia, because I learned that I live in the DMV area, the Southern Maryland area.
Okay.
And in my development, I just recently just built a home in this development. And in this development, 90% of the families, well, let's say 82% of the families that's in this, the 600 families, are all tech bound.
Wow.
And they're Black. And the area where I'm at is actually known as the wealthiest Black county, one of the wealthiest Black county in the nation. And technology is literally the vehicle for it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of the mentoring, right? You have dynamic mentoring. You brought up Metropole Tech Consulting.
Mm-hmm.
How are you able to fuse the two in ways that I guess would be just ongoing programming and engagement, right, if you will? How are you guys able to do that?
So I started out at Metropole Tech, and that was their overall success story, the best success story they ever had. I came into tech and I had got certified for almost everything Oracle, right? So I'm basically an Oracle specialist with a skill set also in Guardian, Linux, and Oracle Cloud.
Okay.
When I did that, 3 months into the course, I already landed my first DBA job, making $150K, right? I was still in the class. The director and owner of the school wanted to meet me personally and wanted to know where I was from. So I was from Philadelphia,
mm-hmm,
right? I have a different type of hunger. I never seen nothing like this, right?
Right.
You're telling me if I learn this, I get that. So overall, I went, and then I got the following week, I got a Linux admin job, right? So now I got 2 jobs that's combining for over 300 grand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still not out the original course that was only 6 months.
Right.
When I graduated, I picked up a third one, and it was another DBA job that I left. I basically worked all 3 jobs, and the owner thought that was amazing, and I kept it going on for about 3 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he ended up promoting me, giving me a job with the company, made me a mentor to other students, to now I'm on a board. So I decided to say, hey, listen, you're missing the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to create something that tells to youth as a pipeline to this high-end technology like the Black MIT, basically.
Right.
Right. And the only way to be able to do that is starting a tech mentoring program that literally builds on the foundation to understand and comprehend and excel in this high-level technology skill sets.
And to piggyback on Hall, when it comes to the mentoring piece, that's
mm-hmm,
really where I come in, because my whole background is community engagement, community mentoring, curriculum development. So I've been able to take my skill set that I started with, which is, my gift, and we create those groups where now we're mentoring. Like if someone's going into AWS and I'm the AWS specialist, well, if he has a question and he's trying to apply for jobs and stuff like that, then I'm the person that he would go to, and vice versa for any other subject that we have somebody
mm-hmm,
either for our team or Metropole Tech. And not only that, I understood the importance of how do you keep this money that you're making now? How do you operate in this world now? Because when you go on jobs, and Hall had to deal with it too.
mm-hmm.
When you're young and you're Black and you're making this type of money, even the people that's making the same amount of money as you are jealous of you. They don't think you deserve to be there.
Right.
So we had to come up with a way, okay, how do we teach young people, Black women and men, how to operate in this environment? You're getting this money. You have to you have to conduct yourself in a certain way to be able to survive in that working world, because they will try to get you fired. They will try to take your your job away from you, just simply because you're making what they make now, and they can't do anything about it. So how to operate on the job?
I'm glad you mentioned that, Rashad. I'm glad you mentioned that, because as Tyrone is talking about making that boss money, right? I'm sitting there saying, well, that's great, right? However, without a plan, right, without some additional mentorship, that could be you could just literally be pouring that money down the drain. In addition to that, without some awareness, you could also put yourself in a situation where, you know, you could be the subject, right, of envy and of certain plots to get you out of that role, that position, because you're a unique person in that space. You know, when you look around, when you look to your left and to your right, I'm pretty sure you're not looking at people that look like you. You're looking at individuals who are wondering why you're there. You know, again, at the end of the day, I'm excited to hear that both of you, right, together, you have this tech, you know, guru, if you will, right, and then you have this man who's connected to the organizations, the individuals, and understand the other part, right, the life skills that are necessary to actually not only attain this, but actually maintain this, right, if I heard you guys correctly. So what are some things that you were going through, Tyrone? You know, you come into this program, someone says, hey, listen, I know everybody's talking about, you know, getting the bag or whatever. I actually have the bag right here. But you just got to stay focused for 6 to 8 months, and then you'll begin to see the bag. You're like, okay, I hear you, sound good, I'm going to do this. You start to do this, and then you go to this job interview, and it's looking like something from, you know, one of those black movies, right? They make the offer, you can't, and then you're seeing these real O's come in to your account. What is it like at that point now as you start to navigate? I'm assuming that you're still in Philly, or did you already make that transition to the DMV area?
Yes, I made the transition. But that's where our curriculum was birthed at, based on my experiences from that. We have a curriculum that Rashad is talking about called Build, Mold, and Inspire. Okay. Right? That's literally the manual, the guide that we build a person up to be able to deal with the challenges they come. So it's not a situation whether you got the bag or not from technology. Being an African American man and dominant in this field set is already going to be looked upon like that. So how I dealt with it was like I had got my first Oracle job, right? I don't know whether you know, but Oracle DBAs don't really do much work unless the database is down. If your applications is up, I'm pretty much in the lunchroom. Right?
I hear you.
However, you know, but I also am a Linux engineer too by skill set. However, you may work with a lot of network engineers, a lot of guys, and right now in my space where I work at, it's more beautiful black and brown faces than I ever seen. Okay, so that's definitely a proven fact. However, when you get there, you'll deal with issues where, you know, you look young, you know, you're proficient, and they took 25 years to make the money that they make.
Right.
It's because they only focus on the minimum skill sets. I'm not saying like Cisco or anything like that is like a minimum skill set, but I only deal with the major fives that I know for a fact that's going to get you paid, right? Oracle Cloud, cybersecurity, US, that is all. People get into this IT thing and they don't even touch on them five. So they're stuck in a certain percentage. So when I go to an interview, I don't have to sit down and talk and negotiate wages, right? Because before I get there, you know what you're getting, right?
I like that.
But when you are somebody that only percent, like say if you are a student that went and got a computer science degree, right? I'm more valuable than that computer science degree because it's so minimum and so skill level that you're coming in entry level. Where one of these programs like I have, and then the Big Brother program, Metro Pro Tech, you're getting the skill set of the people that's there, right?
Gotcha.
You're getting the skill set because we're doing real live stimulations, right? We have our own data centers, right? Where our students come in and they break, fix, destroy, repeat. Break, fix, destroy, repeat on all different skill sets. So when they leave there, they damn near architect.
Gotcha. So providing a hands-on approach is what you're hearing from Tyrone Hall and Rashad Price. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to just talk a little bit more about some of the nuances of this program and how you guys are assisting in helping us rebuild the block. All right. If you're just now checking us out, this is Tonight on Word. I'm your host, Donovan West, and you're listening to 96.1 FM or 900 AM.
Don't miss the Electric Magazine Show, hosted by Cody Anderson and Vicky Leach. Saturday mornings from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. exclusively on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
He knew. Donald Trump knew how deadly COVID was months ago, and he lied about it. Just listen.
Now it's turning out it's not just old people, Bob. Just today and yesterday, some startling facts came out. It's not just older young people, to plenty of young people.
Donald Trump knew as early as February just how deadly COVID was before anyone even died, and he did nothing about it. His indifference cost tens of thousands of black lives.
It goes through air, Bob. You just breathe the air. That's how it's passed. It's also more deadly than even your strenuous flus.
Nearly 200,000 dead. 1 in 5 are black. This virus is literally killing us, and Trump did nothing to stop it.
Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you, I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down because I don't want to create a panic.
Too late, Mr. President.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939. WordRadio.com.
During these unprecedented times, we're creating a lot of extra trash, and that means delays across the city with curbside collection. That's why we have some simple tips that will help you to reduce curbside waste and collection delays. Reduce food waste by using garbage disposals or composting, and limit bulk waste to 2 items per household. Set out trash properly. That means using sturdy trash bags and covering containers with lids. Make sure your trash bags are not heavier than 40 pounds. Set out trash no earlier than 7 p.m. before your collection day and 7 a.m. the day of collection. And remember, you can drop off materials at sanitation convenience centers 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Last and most importantly, thank our sanitation workers for their hard work during these challenging times. We all have a role to play to curb our waste and help our city. Learn more at philadelphiastreets.com.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now. Tune in on YouTube at onWURD or on Facebook at ForWord. Word TV. Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
right. I hope you heard that. Listen. You must listen. And if you've been listening, you've been listening to 96.1 FM, 900 AM tonight on Word. I'm your host, Donovan West, and I'm here with Tyrone Hall and Rashad Price of the Dynamic Mentoring program. And they were talking about the partnership with Metropole Tech Consulting and the amazing opportunities they've been able to provide many of those that they mentor in this tech space. As you already know, the theme this evening is about rebuilding, how to be more resilient, how to, in certain instances, depending on who you are and your situation, you may need to shift, you may need to pivot. And so these gentlemen have been providing some amazing information on how to do just that. They provided a testimony to talk about their journey and how they were able to, inside of a year, make some serious adjustments to their bottom line. And we're happy to have them with us this evening. So, Tyrone, you were talking about, you know, the BMI approach that you guys have, right? And to mentoring, and you also talked about how it's steeped in, you know, the experience, right? Having the resources so that you can actually provide real-time and relevant experiences during this training time, right? So that it keeps your audience that much more engaged. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Go ahead, Rashad.
Yeah, so
that's called an alley-oop. Tyrone,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Wait for him to answer.
No, I didn't hear the question. That was
training. So basically, for the training platforms, everything that everyone's going to do are things they're going to do at the job, because that's kind of how we were taught at Metropole Tech. So because when you go on these jobs, a lot of times when it comes to like skill set, they just want to know that you can do the job. Gotcha. You got the certification, you can do the job. That's why having 2 master's degrees don't really matter, because if you can't actually perform, it doesn't matter. And when we have platforms, when we go through Metropole Tech for some of the higher ones, you're actually working on like government contracts. You just don't know it as you're training.
Gotcha.
So you're creating databases for, Fortune 500 companies, and you're not getting told that because, you don't want to get nervous or mess up or whatever. But that's essentially what you're doing while you're in class, because, it's a consulting firm as well. So once you get certified, you're basically a non-paid part-time employee. You're doing things, but it's really preparing you for the job that you're going to be doing. And like, Tyrone was saying, like, when you get on the job, unless something's really broke, you're really just chilling.
You're the exception handler, right? You're in a situation where if something should go wrong, they have a person that's ready to actually jump right on it and reduce the amount of wait time before you're back online. Does that sound right?
Exactly.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So quick question. COVID-19 is here, right? And so it shifted the workforce, it's shifted, the business space in ways that have never been shifted before. How has it impacted your industry?
Everybody in my go ahead, Rashad.
Rashad got his hand, waved his hand.
Yeah. I was going to say it's actually helped.
Yeah, we're seeing a record. Yeah,
because we are in maybe like the I would say the internet age of the 90s was like the second gold rush, right? We're in like the third gold rush right now. Like everyone's at home. This is the time that everyone's using computers. Everybody's using Zoom. We're using it right now. Well, somebody has to maintain this platform while we're on it. So it's really boom. Like if you just go to Indeed.com right now and just type in AWS, just for the DMV area alone, 10,000 jobs gonna show up. And because no one can travel, everything is remote.
Virtual, yeah, virtual.
So when you're getting a job now, and here's the thing about the mentoring piece, even when you're on the job, when we was in person, you can just call one of us, or you can call somebody at Metropole Tech, and if you can't do something or you don't know how to do something,
you remote in.
You just remote in and call. Or, what we would do is before COVID, what we would do always was we would just go into the data center and just sit down and just do our work. And if we need help, someone else would help us. And even right now with COVID, it's the same thing. So it's really helped. And since we have stricter requirements now as far as like what Trump's doing and all that stuff, not letting people come in and, you know, work and get visas. Man, the opportunity for young African-American people is there because there's a shortage and it can't be filled. And it can't be filled because who has time to wait 2 years and 4 years for somebody to get a degree and get a certificate? That's not the really, I'm not saying getting a degree is bad, because I have one. I'm saying that there's a better way to do it.
Yeah, no, you make sense. You make sense. I mean, at the end of the day, it makes everyone, hopefully, those that are listening and those that you come in contact with, you know, they think some more, right? More heavily around, you know, what's the goal behind the degree? What is it that you really ultimately want to do? Of course, there are certain types of, you know, jobs that you absolutely need that degree for. However, if your goal is to make sure that you stand up your family, right, and that you have a business that's in a place and space that is thriving, obviously they need to think long and hard about, you know, what you're saying in terms of whether or not they should be on that AWS track, if you will. So right now we have a caller. Actually, we have a caller from Winfield. I'm going to have him bring him in and see if he has a question or a comment. Jared from Winfield. Jared, how are you doing this evening? I think we just missed Jared. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to tell Jared if he can hear us to get your information so that Jared can get his technical situation squared away. I'm just joking, but so. You know, we were just now talking about, again, you know, the industry, and this industry is thriving. I know this also, not just personally, but also professionally. You know, I've sit on a number of different councils and committees where we talk about workforce development, and this is one of those industries that's definitely thriving, as you would imagine, because the whole country, right, the whole world really to some extent has to jump on this platform to increase, you know, communication, connectivity, things of that nature. So for those that are, you know, that are listening, you know, what are some first steps that they need to take?
Get with us immediately. If you're looking to cultivate yourself, especially your bottom line. You know, if you went to college or you didn't go to college and you just need to make a better avenue for you and yours, get with us immediately. And the way that we start very to the basics first. But everybody goes through an extensive Linux portion because because Linux literally connects everything that we're doing, right? So yeah, all they got to do is just get in contact with us. You go to our website, dynamicmentoring.org, or even metropoltech.com. But dynamicmentoring.org is for the immediate attention for families that's in need. Again, this program is not just for youth, it's for youth and their families. So we got a number of people that's in our program that end up thinking that it was just a youth tech mentoring program. But then when we offer their entire family the initiative, it changed the game. I think that was the mark that changed the game for us. Because now your son is not, or your daughter is not just doing Linux systems and AWS. It's also the mama, the daddy, the uncle, you know. Everybody is getting these skill sets at a reasonable cost that you can't find nowhere in the market.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, right? So we need to know what the investment is actually, right? So we can manage everyone's expectations. What would the investment be for someone that wants to go down this path?
So we have a number of different ways that we do it. If it's a family, we based it by income and retro it down, right? And then we have another one where if you already have some basic technical like skill sets, like say if you are familiar with hardware, you know, you're familiar with networks or something like that, understanding the OSI model and so forth and so on, right? You have a little bit of operating system knowledge. You can start at our base program. A lot of our programs start anywhere from $1,000 to about $1,600 to about $2,000, right? But we always say like $250 to start, and then you could pay the rest off as the course go, right? Then we have something that we just started, which is our game changer, which we call it our tech mentoring groups. You get the same program, but at a prorated rate that we have for students young as 6th grade, right? Where they'll start out from $65 to adults that will pay a retro price of $85. $85 a month for the length of the program. And remember, this is not your traditional, your traditional school course where you come in for like 3 to 6 months or something like that. And you should have a skill. This is a tech mentoring program that's meant to cultivate, and that takes time.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot because sometimes before step 1, you have to have step 0, and you need to warm them up, so to speak, to the idea, and also provide some more context for the type of commitment that they're about to get engaged in should they decide to go forward. Speaking of going forward, let's go forward with that call that we have on line 1. We have Lydia calling in from Philadelphia. Lydia, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good, Donovan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for calling in. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, I just have a question for Tyrone and Rashad. I just wanted to get some advice for those of us who are listening and thinking, wow, this is a really great opportunity to, potentially generate wealth for our families, but I have like zero interest in the field, and I have this passion and passion and desire for something else. Do you have any advice for those of us who are not really interested in the field, but considering pivoting because of the financial gains?
Well, I'll answer that because that's exactly how I feel. I'll be honest, I can't stand IT. I'm real. Like, Paul knows that. I can't stand IT. So, like, I'm using it as a vehicle to fund my other dreams. And that's how you have to look at it. Like, being able to be your own bank. So, when I was doing youth development, I was changing the community. I was changing the world, but I wasn't making nothing. Now, I have the means to say, you know what, I can just start my own program. So them overseas trips that I wanted to take with the youngins that I was cultivating, I can do that now.
Right.
Though, say the programs that I wanted to implement while I was working, but my supervisors wouldn't let me do, I can do that now.
Gotcha.
So and then the other thing is there's so many different genres. Yeah, the flexibility. There's so many different genres of IT that you can go into something that you feel comfortable with and still make the same money. So you don't have to be as technical, because I'm not as technical. So I don't do programming.
Right.
At all. I don't do the programming and coding. That's just not me. So you still can find your lane and still learn something and do something that you're comfortable with and still make money.
Gotcha.
And then I want to add to that, as far as the flexibility. Rashad, he'll laugh at me all the time because for like the last 5 years, I was only working 2 days a week.
2 days a week?
I'm talking about before COVID, way before COVID. You're talking about years, right? 2 days a week, and that's full time for me, right?
Flexibility, huh?
Yeah, this tech, especially when you're on high level skill sets, right? Where you supporting a number of different contracts. You basically like Oracle support or Red Hat support, something on that level.
As I mentioned, it sounds like during that time you're on call, and should something go wrong, that's when you're activated. Is that right?
No, it's not necessarily like that. I'm actually an employee just like it is, but with like the skill set like Red Hat, right? It's really hard to find certified Red Hat people. So they want to make you as happy as possible, right? Because if you get fired today, if I got fired today, before I go to the door, I have another job. That's how crazy it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good to know. Good to know. So listen, we're going to go to break real quick, or if you're just now tuning in, this is 96.1 FM, 900 AM, and you're listening to Tonight on Word. I have another caller that's calling in, so please just hold on. We'll get to you right after these messages.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
right? We need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
If you're eligible for Medicare in 2021, you could have a chance to win one of 4 great prizes, like dinner prepared by a local chef and home fitness equipment. When you enter to win, you'll also receive a free COVID-19 News You Need booklet. Visit www.ibxmedicare.com/healthy advice to enter. Independence Blue Cross offers products through its subsidiaries Independence Hospital Indemnity Plan, Keystone Health Plan East, and QCC Insurance Company, independent licensees of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media.
Justice, equality, accountability. These are the values we need in our leaders to bring us together and be the America we know we can be. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are those leaders. Joe Biden has the experience to fix our broken economy. He's done it before and he'll do it again. And our own Kamala Harris is ready to lead. As senator, she championed education, health care, and criminal justice reform. And with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in charge, we know the White House will be accountable to our community. For 4 years, our country has been run by inexperience and corruption, but we have the chance to turn it around with values rooted in our common goals and the leadership of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Unite the Country. www.blackpac.com and www.unitethecountry.com, which are responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
Word TV. We're streaming live video of this conversation right now.
Tune in on YouTube at onWURD
or on Facebook at Forward.
Word TV.
Black Talk Media. You're listening to Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
All right, we are at this last stretch here in this wonderful evening, this wonderful show we've had talking about Building Back the Block. If you're just now tuning in, this is 96.1 FM, 900 AM. You're listening to Tonight on Word. So let's just go ahead and bounce right into it to line number 2 with Jared from Winfield. I hope everything is working A-OK this time. Jared, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. Your voice and your candor over the phone says that you already got the voice for radio, brother. So good to hear from you.
Thank you, good brother. I appreciate that. You know, you always got to be prepared for whatever opportunity, presents itself. So thanks again. It really means a lot. So, Jared, what's your question or comment as it relates to this topic overall, or for our guests, Tyrone and Rashad, representing Dynamic Mentoring and the Metropole Tech Consulting Company?
Yeah. So I had a question. Well, I have a twofold question. One is in regards to the high-level Red Hat conversation, and then the other is in regards to dynamic mentorship. So the Red Hat piece, is there a technical pipeline that, as Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu talked about in Countering a Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, that takes our young black males from 3rd or 4th grade, where they start sitting in the back of the class, where in kindergarten, 1st grade, they were performing on genius level, worldwide genius level for kindergarten and 1st grade. But by the 3rd and 4th grade, they start to hate science, hate math, based on systemic educational oppression. Is there a STEM-based pipeline that we can tap our young men into and young sisters into that will foster the love of the sciences and the math, science and math, that start to teach them the design, code, test, and deployment process for systemic development that can naturally then matriculate them at a younger age in expertise for Red Hat and for other high-level service offerings from a technology perspective. That's my first question.
So, gentlemen, Tyrone, Rashad, what say you on this question? And please, we're at the tail end, so we can't go into the level of depth. You know, I wish we did, but we may have to do a part 2 on this. But please, if you guys can provide a brief response, that'll be great.
Okay, so the basics is that you have to be able to read and comprehend, right? But Rashad and the way that I would answer that, you got to be basically the read and comprehend. But our curriculum that we use kind of fosters and kind of works with that. We use a curriculum that Rashad wrote called Build, Mold, and Inspire to kind of interact that where you got the kids sitting in the back of the class to kind of get them engaged. Because that's how we started. We started off with basically children that seemed like they was going to be left behind or delinquents or things like that. And you have to build them up from the mind up, right? And then show them, because just like with anybody that, you know, I'm from Philadelphia that lives there, you got to show the proof, right? For anybody to do that. But then we don't necessarily kind of start off with tech. We ask them what they want to do, right? And Rashad is a specialist with that, and he helped grow that that philosophy and kind of made strategies to kind of make that happen, which he'll add on right now.
I'll be brief. For your question, that's the whole reason why we created it, because, you know, as a youth development specialist, I was in schools doing groups. I was dealing with 3rd and 4th graders, and they would get kicked out of school. And it's like, I know these young men, you know, they were highly intelligent, highly smart, but they've just been left behind. And, you know, my thing is, like Carl was saying, I wanted to give them a vehicle to make money, but I also didn't want to leave them behind as far as, like, you know what I'm saying, that cultivation piece. Because a lot of what we're going to be doing when it comes to the mentoring piece has nothing to do with IT. It has everything to do with deprogramming them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, for those answers. Second question, really quickly. Thank you so much, Jared. Go ahead.
No worries. And so since you already answered the question about mentorship, I really just want to say thank you, guys. And if we could all just start to think about how we could, from a dynamic perspective, implement this in after-school programs as a requirement for all of our babies in these environments where there's a public school, I think that'll be a fantastic next step. There's a few revenue generators that you can attach to it, but to be able to have the power to implement a dynamic mentorship program that connects kids via STEM through a pipeline that also hopefully teaches collective economics, the 1619 history curricula, and a few other sort of powernomics-based activities would be a fantastic thing. I just want to applaud you, brothers, for doing that.
Hey, Jared, thank you very much for not only your question, but also your suggestions. And also, I want to thank Lydia also for calling in. And, you know, you guys represent, again, the silver lining, if you will, right? Because the reality is that the phone should have been blowing up. I'm just going to take a quick second just to say that the phone should be blowing up during this time, because what we're talking about is providing amazing opportunities, 6-figure opportunities, not just for a career or you know, a family-sustaining opportunity for you and your family, but more so an opportunity to pivot and to shift and to improve the quality of your life. And we need to, you know, pull each other up and hold each other accountable during these times. So I applaud you, Jared. I applaud Lydia for calling in, for having the wherewithal to check in and to get more information and get the most out of this program. I also just want to thank our guests, Tyrone Hall and Rashad Price, for coming in and really providing, again, some really salient information and guidance during this very strange time that we're all experiencing. I'm going to make sure that we share this information so that everyone that's listening can have access to your contact information, Tyrone and Rashad. And I just want to thank you again for joining us this evening.
All right, no problem. We appreciate you having us.
Hey, no problem at all. So, again, if you're just now checking us out, you can check us out regularly. This has been Tonight on Word. I'm your host, Donovan West. It's been a pleasure to serve you. Thank you very much to our producer extraordinaire, Eric. Thank you so much, Mr. Nixon. You're the man. And it's been a pleasure serving you all. Good night.
The night